It's time, and you've tuned into the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. Now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello, and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here today. I tell you, it's a great day today because we have a chance to be able to feature two ladies who have done very well when it comes to track and field and cross country here in Franklin County, but not only Franklin County, why don't we just say Western Mass and beyond, and we'll talk with these two ladies in just a few minutes. Our show is brought to you by Denny's Pantry, Burniston Road in Greenfield, also by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant located on Avenue A in Turner's Falls, also by Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and by the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant on Routes 5 and 10 in Burniston. Want to welcome you here today, and I tell you right now, I couldn't be more excited than I am right now to invite these two ladies. So, without further ado, hi ladies, how are you? Hi. I'd like to introduce Meghan Davis from Mohawk Trail Regional High School, and also Amy O'Sullivan, who just recently graduated from Greenfield High School. Two ladies who have a lot of talent and have put in a lot of work into their craft, and I'll tell you, it's paid off for each and every one of you. And I just want to say congratulations to both of you on your achievements. Amy, we'll also have a little chat with you to see what's up in your future endeavors in life here. We'll get into that in just a moment, but I want to first of all just say that how nice it is to be able to finally get a chance to talk to somebody about track and field and cross country, because we really haven't had a chance to have anybody to interview in a long time. So let's start with Meghan first. Meghan, let's just get right to it for you. You have been a phenomenal two-mile runner, and what you have been able to do is just amazing. And for what you've been able to achieve really shows how much work that you've put in. And what does the average day of running consist of in the life of Meghan Davis?
Well, the average day is pretty much generic for track runners, like regular warm-up and sprint drill stretches with the team, and then distance runners kind of branch off from the regular team, and we do our runs, so anywhere from 6 to 8 miles depending on what we're ready for that day. And then same thing, come back, we do stretches, dynamic stretches, and core workout, strength workout, and call it a day. So
you do some core workouts and stuff with so you do the core workout as
Definitely,
well. That's
yes.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Now, do you take any special time for yourself where you know, when you're not practicing, like right now, you're in your summer session now, do you have a certain drill that you do every single day for yourself, or do you have a certain time that you like to run? Is it early morning, or is it better for you to run in the evening, right before, you know, in the early evening where it's cooled down? Where does it go for you on that?
It varies a lot. During the summer, I mean, it doesn't get super hot here, but I mean, when it is warm, I like to get up early in the morning, definitely, and go. But a lot of times 2-3 o'clock is generally my running time. I like to stay pretty consistent with like regular practice during the school year, just to have some kind of schedule.
I like that.
Yeah.
And do you stick to that 6 to 8 mile run like you do when you're in practice, when you do your regular sessions at home? Is it still the 6 to 8 mile?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I throw in some speed workouts, some tempo runs every now and then to change it up a little bit and get the legs moving.
That's great. Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I had a chance to talk with Amy a little bit before we got started, she was telling me how they pretty much do a lot of the same, pretty much, it seems like you guys pretty much have that same type of routine. You said it was around that 6 mile, you know, run type thing, same as for her. And of course you have to stretch. I mean, gosh, if you don't, it would be awful for both of you and everybody else in between. I mean, you really got to stretch. And I think people need to understand that stretching is almost like as important as you as a runner. I mean, and how you train. I mean, stretching is so important, and you have to be able to get yourself, you know, ready and be able to be limber enough to be able to handle the elements. Now, it's so funny because you guys got such a nice start in the beginning of your season where it's not so hot. But it can be really bitterly cold when you start in the fall and you guys are doing cross country, but it can also get in our springs that we've been having lately. Beginning of the season must be pretty cold too. So that must be really tough for you guys to adjust at sometimes during the season.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, is it definitely something
I
that...
think cross country is the biggest shock. Like the championship meets are always, you're like wearing layers and everything, and then looking back at the beginning of the season wearing shorts and tank tops. It's crazy how quickly time flies and how the weather changes.
Yeah. Now, Amy, when you work out with Greenfield High School and you guys do your particular programming, now do you use the track much at the new track a lot during the year, or do you guys still try to do a lot of your running, you know, for your distance and stuff? Do you try to do it on the streets, or what do you try to do to work out? How does it work for you? How's that?
In track, we use the track a lot more. Of course, in cross country, you want to stay on like the hills and like the rockiness and the terrains because it's just so different. And since I've been there, I've had no track and a track, and so normally we always went off like school grounds and ran to places, but now it's like we've been using the track a lot because we have it, and just like some people now like don't realize that we ran on grass. Like there was no track. So there's new 8th graders and 9th graders are like, do we have to be on the track? But it's like, yes, like we've never had a track. It prepares you more for like the races and stuff, getting on just like the surface and like moving around more. So yeah.
I agree, and I think that's true. And I also agree with the fact that you guys need to have, and Meghan, let's be honest, not to put GHS's track down, but that's a tough place to run, is at GHS's course for cross country. I mean, that's really tough up there, you know, and it's not as well taken care of and groomed as some of you guys' other facilities that you guys get to use, you know. And I think when a lot of the other towns come to Greenfield, they're like, wow, this is, you know, it's pretty impressive. They had an undefeated season this year, and look what they have to run on, you know. So that's a really hard course, I think, for anybody to come to, is Greenfield's course.
Definitely.
For cross country. Now, how do you feel about your course that you guys have up at Mohawk? Is it in really good shape, and is it really well groomed? And
yeah, I mean, it's like any cross-country course. I mean, it has spots that aren't so great, but Joe, my coach, takes very good care of it. I mean, it's his course. I mean, it is his course, and he makes sure that it's well packed down. And there's some rocky spots, but I know he goes out throughout the season and throughout the year, even during the winter, and he'll do little things to maintain it. So.
Do you like running up at the Mohawk course?
Yeah, I've run on the course twice, and I've always liked it.
You've always liked it?
It's a really nice course, yeah.
So who has the best course around for any of the high schools when it comes to running cross country around here? Is there anybody that has or are they all pretty similar in some way?
They're all pretty similar, but my favorite course was Granby's course. It's pretty hilly, but it's on really good trails, like a lot of horse trails. Like I was once running and I ran by a horse mid-race. It was really
wow, that's cool, huh?
It was kind of scary because it was coming at me, but yeah, that was probably my favorite course because it does have the hills, but it's not rocky. It's really nice, well taken care of. So that's probably my favorite course. That's
great. Now, what about preparation as far as getting yourselves ready the day of a big meet? What's your normal day start when you're getting ready to go to school and your day is beginning? How do you prepare? Let's ask both of you. Let's start Meghan first, and then I'll go with Amy second.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to make this short. I mean, it's a lot of mentally, I think, reassuring yourself. And if it's a school day that I have a race, I try not to dwell on it a lot. I mean, trying to distract myself during school, obviously. But I think definitely once we're like on the bus, it's a lot of like, okay, you got this. Like, you've done this before. So it's just running. I mean, like you think of it, it's everything you've been training for, and yeah, it's a lot of dealing with stress. I get very stressed out.
So you do get stressed out?
Yes.
You do. So you do get stressed out. So,
yes.
And it's funny because of what you've done and how you've been able to achieve that. Most people would think that you'd be a lot more not stressed out. So that's surprising. But you know, but you know what? Maybe that stress is what also keeps you sort of engaged, I guess, is that, oh my gosh, if I'm not ready, I'm not going to be happy. And but like you said, it is just running.
Yeah.
But it's not just running, it's running against other people, and your job is to try to beat them. And boy, you've beaten a lot of people in your career, let me tell you. Amy, same thing. How do you start your day? Just say you're getting ready, you got a meet, you got a school day, and you're getting up in the morning and you're getting yourself prepared. How do you get yourself mentally ready?
Pretty much the same things. A lot of the times it's just like trying to focus on school and not think about the race until you're on the bus. And then for me, it's like also like I focus more on like what I'm eating and what I'm drinking, so I know that like when I go into the race, I'm not worried if I didn't eat enough, didn't drink enough. Like I know that that's taken care of, so the rest is just mentally fighting through.
Yeah. I'm going to ask one of the most wildest questions I've ever asked on this show. One of the most wildest questions I've ever asked. Ladies, have you ever been in a situation where you've been running and you know it's only a 5-minute race, but you ended up having to go pee? Has that ever happened? Or I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form, but that could take away from your distractions of your running. I mean, I'm just saying, because you know you're staying hydrated because you're running. You don't want to dehydrate, right?
Definitely.
Has it ever happened?
Personally, it hasn't happened to me. I make sure that I go to the bathroom. I have like a set plan. I'm like, okay, I need to go 10 minutes before I'm ready to get on the starting line. And
yeah.
I think the other thing, like with my nerves, I've walked up to the starting line like, oh no, I have to go to the bathroom. And then, but it feels like once the gun goes off, it's just like you're just focused in.
Yeah,
so it just goes away.
Yeah, it goes away.
Yeah, until the end.
Yes,
like,
and then you're like, oh my God, now I gotta go, right?
Yeah.
Have you had that ever happen to you before?
Pretty much the same thing, but one time I was running the mile at Mohawk and I lost track of time and I like didn't have time to go to the bathroom, so I like finished the race and then just kept running.
You did keep running. Yeah.
I was just like, wait, you have to wait. I'm like, no, I can't wait. I gotta go.
I totally get that though. I really do. I was saying to myself, I'm like, man, you know, yeah, it's only 5 minutes for you and what do you 11 minutes? You know, it's 11 minutes after you start, but still, if you gotta go, you gotta go. I mean, it's just the way it is. Right. I always wondered how people were able to do that when you're running like that, especially those marathon runners, you know, when you're running a 26-mile race, you know, man, that's a lot of hours, you know, and you're also trying to stay hydrated too as you're running a race like that. Have any of you, both of you, have you ever thought about maybe trying to train to run a Boston Marathon someday?
I definitely want to, yeah.
You do too.
You do too?
Definitely.
All right. Yeah. That is an awesome thing to hear right there. Yeah. I would love to be able to have the day come where we can both say that you both are going to be participating in it and get you back on the show after you run that to see what your first experience is of doing something like that.
That would be awesome.
Because that would be awesome. I'm going to tell you right now, that's something that is really prestigious to me. If you can be able to train to run a 26-mile marathon, you earn kudos. I don't care if you finish tomorrow, okay? You did it. You ran 26 miles, right? Yeah. I mean, that's impressive. So you both are, that's something that you both would eventually like to try to do. Yeah. That is really great. That is wonderful to try. And I really hope that, you know, one of these days when you guys both have made that commitment, that we can definitely get you guys back on here and be able to chat about that. Because I've only had one person that I know personally who has ran, and she is from Greenfield, and she does it through her work, through John Hancock. Her name is Tara Zoronic, and she has done it, and she does it in honor of cancer, and she does a wonderful job. And I'm going to tell you, she's been able to train and run 26 miles. I mean, that is hard. And for her to be able to say that she's done that 2 or 3 different times is very impressive. And I know there's many other people that have done it around here, but she's one that I know pretty well, and she really enjoys doing it. And she did it again this year, and she's in very good shape, and she takes her running very seriously. Now, this is a great question. Do you guys feel that running has also given you a little time for zen for yourselves? It's your time to think, the thought process in your life? Go ahead.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Most definitely? All right.
Yeah, I think, every day it's, like I said, it's kind of paradoxical. Like running stresses me out like races, but at the same time, it's such a stress reliever. Like if I'm having a hard day at school or whatever, I just go out into the woods and it just all slips away, which is awesome to have that experience.
That is really great. And do you feel the same way too?
Yeah, it definitely relieves stress or gets your minds off things, especially like for me, I don't run with music a lot. I run by myself a lot, and it's just like that experience, like just your mind just kind of goes blank and you're just running and you're just like relaxed, even though sometimes it might be really hot or cold. Like that doesn't really like bug me. It's just like I'm just relaxed and going with it. And even when sometimes running gets hard with workouts, it's still like very like calming.
You know, it's funny because I had a nice chat with your mom, Amy, and we were talking about how you do train, and she was telling me how she likes to be able to be there with her bike when you're running, only because of where you live. And you know, it is a very big stretch of road where you live, you know, out there in Greenfield in the Meadows area. And people are a little nuts when they drive. And she just wants to make sure that her daughter is in good hands. And she says that she really enjoys doing that and that you've been very good about it with her.
Yeah, I'm like really grateful that she's able to do that, because I don't know if I'd be like running for like so much otherwise. Like in the winter, we used to go to Look Park, and she walks, and it's like -degrees out, freezing rain. No one's in the park but us, but like she's still walking, she's still like supporting me along the way. Biking in the summer heat, I'm just like really grateful that she's like there to do that and willing to do that, so I'm able to run and be safe.
She's in very good shape too,
yeah.
And your mom's always kept herself in very good health, and
yeah.
Your mom is also I've seen her run around Greenfield for years too, and she's always kept herself in very good shape. And of course, your dad, you know, being a hockey player for all those years at Greenfield High School, you know, he's always kept himself, you know, pretty fit too. You guys seem to really have put, you know, the fitness and the health as part of your family lifestyle. And
yeah, since we were little, they've got us into like all different sports. We all played hockey for the majority of our life. Sean's still playing. Sarah's continuing at UMass. Like we're all like very active and have done so many different sports.
It's wonderful, and I think that that's really important too. And I think that getting involved in something and dedicating your time to it is very important. Now, Megan, do you listen to music when you run?
I used to a little bit. I don't know. Running alone, I think is very peaceful, and a lot of time running with friends is great too. But I think I prefer to run alone.
You like to run alone?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
like when I have to. I mean, my coach will run with me sometimes, and when I have cross country, it's hard because we all kind of break off and go different paces and stuff, and so I normally end up alone. But
right, it's very true. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't have a preference, I say.
Yeah.
But
now, what is where does your trail? Where do you do a lot of your running that you do for your training? Do you do it? Is it up on 112, Route 112? Where do you usually run where you live?
Yeah, I'd say all around. Yeah, 116 goes right by my house. I'm kind of at Four Corners, which is handy. I can go pretty much anywhere.
Okay.
And yeah, anywhere I go is always hilly, and which is what I like. But yeah, all around there.
It's very true, because if you really think about it, Route 112, 116, they're all very hilly up there where you live. And doesn't that really help the strength in your legs in being able to get, when you get on do you notice that when you're on a more flat surface that you seem to be a lot more powerful because of the fact that you're using so much of your leg strength when you're running up those hills all the time?
Definitely, yeah, I think it pays off, and especially on other courses. Like I remember when Amy's course actually is another very hilly course, and I think us in Western Mass definitely have an advantage over some of like the Eastern Mass places, so their courses are more flat. So when we get to hills like that, we can just zoom right up.
You guys zoom right up there, and all of a sudden you can gain some really, good time right there against them. Exactly.
Yeah,
now, Amy, you really specialize a lot in the 1 mile. That's like something that you've really, done a lot with, is the 1 mile. And I know you have to do the 1 mile and the 2 mile because, as you know, it's a small group, and you got to help your team, right? I mean, you think about that. And so let's talk a little bit about your 1 mile and your 2 mile.
The 1 mile, I like my 8th and 9th and 10th grade year, I was more towards the mile, and then I started getting better in the 2 mile just because as I've gained more endurance, I realized that like that's what I was better at rather than like more power and speed in the 1 mile. And so I've improved a lot in the 2 mile over the course of the past 2 years. And in the mile, I've been able to take, I think, 10 seconds off in the past 2 years. In the 2 mile, I've taken like 30. So that's what I started
wow, that's huge.
really like focusing on.
That's a lot of time. I mean, if we sat here and count to 30, and you think about how much that is in steps of how much you've gained, that is a huge accomplishment right there. 30 seconds is big. I think it's big anyway. First of all, I admit I don't run, guys. See, you can tell by the way I look, I don't run. But I will say that, I used to be a really big athlete at one time, and I was always big, but I also was very athletic, and I unfortunately came down with some nerve damage done to my legs, and it's made it really tough for me to be able to do what I used to do. But I will say that I have always had, and I've always admired people who can go out and be able to do special running, because I think that it takes a lot of mental to do that. I really do, because it's you. You're it. It's how you pace yourself. It's how you push yourself, and it's how you try to, achieve personal goals. And that's what both of you have been able to do. Now, let's talk about you for a minute. Meghan, you made it, you've been in the Nationals a couple of times. You had a chance to go down to North Carolina. What was that experience like this year?
It was incredible. I mean, it felt like everything was new. I mean, it was my first time even being on a plane, which was a trip in itself. But yeah, it was incredible, just the environment of the meet, even though it was spread out over 3 days. So there was less people there than I was kind of expecting. But just the general vibe was just very upbeat, and everyone was very supportive of each other, and it was awesome.
You know, there's a girl that's just right down the road, down in Amherst, Massachusetts, who is a friend of yours, and also she went to the Nationals as well, and she ended up winning the national championship for the 2 mile.
Yeah.
And she, I heard, is a really good person for you guys to be able to train with and work with. And I just think that that's nice that the Massachusetts Western Mass connection had 2 of our runners place in the top 7 out of 21 runners in the whole nation. That's pretty cool, Meghan.
Yeah.
And for you to be able to do as well as you did and be in the top, 3rd of the class, which is what you were, and for her to win it, that really says a lot about both of your training.
Definitely.
And and I look at what Amy's been able to do, and I look at what Greenfield High School did with cross country this year, and their girls team to be able to have the season that they had was very impressive for Greenfield. I mean, it's funny because we look at the girls softball team this year. They won their first Western Mass championship in 32 years. Okay, and it was the first time that the cross-country teams ever won a girls' championship in the history of their team. So there's been 2 really big milestones that Greenfield was able to achieve this year alone in girls' sports. I mean, that's pretty impressive,
Yeah.
And you had a chance to be a part of that early in the year when you guys were able to, win and be able to do what you did in cross-country this year.
Yeah, there's been 4 of us who's been on the team the past 4 years, and just to see it grow from 6 people to almost 10 people in the team, although that's not really that much difference, but just having people come out and try it and actually like it and enjoy it and stick with it, it's just been great. Winning was really good, but just seeing so many girls take interest in cross country, and I know so many more new people are joining next year, that it's just really great that we were able to kind of start something that's hopefully will continue after we all leave.
I'm thinking about this and I'm like, wow, Greenfield girls sports this year. Basketball team wins Western Mass. They lost in the Western Mass championship, but they got there to the cage. You look at the girls cross country team. You look at the field hockey team, they ended up winning Western Mass this year. The girls tennis team went undefeated this year in regular season. It was just a great year for girls sports, but it's funny because it's not always about Greenfield with all sports. You talk about track and field and you talk about cross country, you talk about Frontier, you talk about Mohawk. Those are the 2 schools that everyone talks about, Meghan. They talk about your school. Because your school has that kind of a program, and it's because of the coaching that you guys have. Let's talk a little bit about Coach Joe. Joe Chadwick, to me, is just a really special guy. And for him to be able to do what he has done, and so humbly at that, and be able to say that he is the winningest coach of any sport in the state of Massachusetts, in any sport, that says a lot about your coach.
Definitely. Yeah, it was more than when people were talking about that, it didn't really sink in, and it's just seeing Joe every day at practice, you wouldn't think about it. Like you said, he's so humble and he's just always there for the girls. He's whatever we need, he's always there to help us, and he's extremely supportive. I mean, all the races, all the extra races I do, championship races, he always goes to them, and really anything I need, he's always there.
Did he make it down to North Carolina with you?
He wasn't able to make it down, unfortunately, but I had another coach who's new this year, Mark. He came down and supported me, which was awesome to have him there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And Mom went with you?
Yep, the whole family went.
The whole family went. All right, so the whole family went. It was a family trip.
Yep.
So you guys got the family weekend get together, and to be able to go watch Meghan Davis be able to do what she does best and do it well on a national level. That's just awesome, you know?
It's a lot of fun.
Now, let me ask you guys a question. What is the difference between Western Mass and Central Mass with the Western Central Mass Championships compared to Western Mass? Do you feel like they're more dominant than you guys in the track and field, being that they have bigger numbers, even though they have to put them in divisions by just the way it is out there? Or do you guys feel like there is a good advantage of being here in the hill towns compared to the folks that are in the flatlands of Central Mass? What do you guys both think about that? I'll go with you first, Megan, while I got you.
Yeah, I think they definitely do have an advantage in that I think they have coaches that specialize, like with track. They have like people for jumps and sprints and distance, and we're Mohawks working on that, but obviously with smaller numbers it's hard. We have just a couple coaches for everyone, so I think in like Eastern Mass, them being able to specialize like that might be an advantage for them. But I mean, anywhere you go, there's going to be sort of standout individuals in each team that are going to be competitive no matter where they're from, I think.
I agree. I'll go with that. I just wasn't sure what the vibe was of how when you guys are competing like that on what it's like with the coaches, but you just took care of that for me. Amy, what do you feel? What do you feel about competing against some of the other girls when you guys are having the Central Western Mass Championship?
I definitely feel that their coaches are more specialized, and some of those teams are just huge. that you always have a group of people to like be with and to run with, or to like do your field event with. Like you're never going to be like alone. Whereas like she said, she runs alone most of the time. I run alone most of the time. So it's just like when you're doing workouts, sometimes too alone, like hitting those paces get like a little tough when you get tired. But like when you always have someone there, I feel like would be a lot like more helpful, I guess. So I feel like that's an advantage they would get. Although their disadvantage is when they come out here for cross country. I think next year, isn't it here? I think for the state meet, and they all of a sudden have to run at Northfield Mountain. They're not going to be able to.
They're not going to be happy.
They're not going to be happy. No.
And if they're smart, they would definitely do some homework on maybe getting up there and doing some training, and maybe the coaches do bring the group of ladies up to do some training up there, because it is a big difference. You know, and I will say that's one thing I do think is very fair, is that you guys do get that a little extra advantage when it is close to home, only because you're used to doing what Northfield Mountain is compared to what they are, and that definitely gives you guys that little edge that you guys need. But it seems like numbers are just so different though when you deal with Central Mass and Western Mass. In every sport though, their numbers are so much bigger than ours. We don't get as many participants, and it doesn't matter what sport we're in, you know? How many are on your team that you guys have for girls cross country?
For cross country this year, it's hard to even count. I think we might be sitting at about 5 right now, which is just what you need in order to score. We're hoping, we're going to get some 7th graders. I mean, we've had people changing schools, leaving Mohawk, and so it's been tough. But
5. Wow. And they're up to 10 at Greenfield, and she's like, we're even still pretty small, but we're finally growing a little bit more. So you guys are at 5. That's it. Wow.
Yeah,
and
tough.
Is it because a lot of the girls that are the athletes at your school are big into this field hockey program that's really started to build in the fall over there?
Yeah, I think definitely field hockey has taken some people away, unfortunately, and yeah, I know the field hockey. Like I was part of the field hockey program, and they have an awesome program. I mean,
they do,
Lynn
and you got a
Hopner's
really good coach, because Lynn Hopner's a really good coach,
definitely.
And she's really put field hockey on the map up there.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yes.
And I think that she's stealing some of your athletes that could be doing something different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I mean, it's as much as we hate to see it and see them go. I mean, just to know that they're doing something. I mean, even if it's not cross country, just getting out and playing some kind of sport, just being active is reassuring.
I agree. I totally agree. But it's got to be tough for someone like you, because your program is really on the cusp of being able, like you said, to just qualify, to be able to be able to have enough people to be able to do it. You know, it seems like the one thing that's irritated me over the years is the fact that we're getting to a point now where sports has really gotten to be not as big anymore as far as numbers. And I think what's going to happen is what happened with the Greenfield High School hockey team this year, is I think you're going to start seeing more teams starting to co-op. I think that co-op is going to start becoming a way of being able to keep the kids to be able to still participate in sports. Because if you don't have enough people to participate in your school, then you're not going to be able to compete. And what fun is it to be able to go and just get mopped up every single day because you don't have numbers? You know, it's almost like tennis teams. You see these tennis teams and they have to forfeit 1 or 2 matches every single time, you know, and they're like, oh well, we only have enough to be able to do this, but we got girls that want to compete for singles. We have the 3 people to do our 3 singles, but our doubles is weak because we don't have enough people to do doubles. So if they lose a doubles match on a forfeit every single time, they're automatically 1 in the hole every time they go to a match, you know? And I think that what we've got to in our area right now is to a point where it wouldn't surprise me if the co-ops started to get a little more into what they're doing with Greenfield High School hockey more in this area to keep you guys going.
Yeah.
And we want to have you guys to be able to compete and be able to have fun doing what you guys like. But it would not be fair if they couldn't be able to have the program because there's not enough participants. I feel that the rule should be this. If we can't get a program, we should be able to have an option to be able to go play for someone else. Now, what's nice is that I know that in a way it's nice, in a way it's not nice, is the fact that your closest would be Frontier. But that's also your competition, man.
Right.
So do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Right? Am I being fair about saying?
It would be a very weird interaction, I think. But
your rival, Frontier and I would say Greenfield Turners, Frontier and Mohawk. That's how it rolls. But we have to join programs because we just don't have numbers, so this is what we're going to do. 2 dominant schools who have done very well in track and field and cross country over the years, in all of this for years. Now they got to join forces as 1. That would be pretty weird if that ever happened.
Yes,
you know,
definitely.
Instead of being 2 that would compete all the time.
Right.
Have you guys noticed, both of you, about? I've noticed that the numbers have grown in Athol and Mahar in being able to get athletes to be able to perform pretty well, and their track and field and their cross country has improved a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about those 2 schools because they're on the cusp of Franklin County and Worcester County right there, you know? Do they have good numbers, both those schools?
I think they definitely do. Yeah, I mean, they've always been competitive, and I think just adding more numbers is just going to put them 1 step higher, which is exciting for them, exciting for us too, because it's more competition. But it's kind of sad to look at. Like, we want that to happen at Mohawk too, but yeah.
But let's be honest though, their field hockey programs are not as good at their schools with the girls than what they are with track and field and cross country. So their female athletes are sort of making a commitment to that instead of the field hockey. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Their team has grown a lot, like since I started. Like in 9th grade, I don't think they had a cross country team. They had like 3 girls, but now they have a team to score. Like their track team, I think like doubled in size.
I know.
They pulled up on a bus and they just kept coming out. I'm like, I'm like, how many more girls can you fit on there?
But that's what I heard. I heard that those 2 schools have really grown, and their boys program's done the same. Their boys program's done the same, but their baseball programs are down, but their athletes are playing, you know, they have good basketball in the winter time, and then they do really well with their numbers in track and field, and they do have some guys that have done really well. Now, didn't Athol have a gentleman that went to the Nationals in one of their I think it was, I want to say it was pole vault. Yes.
There was an 8th grader, I believe, who went. I know he at least went to New England. I'm not sure if he made it to that. I should check on that. But they've had very good, both on the boys and girls side, both very good competitors.
Yeah. Have you been, Amy, to the New Englands?
I have not been.
You haven't made it to that.
No.
So states where it's pretty much gone for you. Have you ever gone up to just to see what the competition was like up there? Have you ever gone to any of the New England regionals at all?
I haven't.
No, you haven't. No. Yeah. Now, in your case, this year it was over at University of New Hampshire, at UNH up in Durham. And what was the experience up there?
It was beautiful up there. It was, like I said, a little overwhelming, especially when I get stressed out from meets and stuff. But it was good to see some familiar faces. I know there was a couple. Sophia, the Amherst girl, didn't end up going. She qualified, obviously, but took a week off for nationals. Yeah, it was exciting being able to compete, like just being in a different state and being like, okay, I'm here to represent like Mohawk, and yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, and you broke a personal best and you really, you know, you've been able to really start to be able to work on your game and your craft to be able to try to beat your old numbers.
Right.
And first time that you've ever cracked 11 minutes, is that correct?
Yeah, I've been trying for a long time. Definitely since indoor. I mean, I was pretty close with 11:03 in indoors, and so that's what I was really working towards all season this year. And so I was very pleased with it.
So you picked up those extra seconds that you needed to get off that, to get that. You know, you can finally say that you made it under 11.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful to say. Now, Amy, I'm just going to say something. You know how I really got a chance to really get to know more about you, believe it or not, was the winter track season down at Smith College. I made a commitment to myself that I was going to make sure that I got as much information as I possibly could over the winter to not just talk about girls and boys basketball and talk about hockey. I wanted to try to talk about the indoor track season down at Smith College. Problem is they didn't really do as great of a job as reporting, and if it wasn't luckily enough for the recorder to help me out, and Jay Patinsky and Jeff LaJoy and those guys down there, because they've been awesome about trying to give you guys some credit down there at the recorder, and I got to give them kudos for what they've done. I wouldn't have known about what you guys have been able to do at Smith College, but I got to tell you, you really had a good indoor track season this year. You really did. You had a good year in the indoor track.
Yeah, the races, I just focused a lot more on myself, and a lot of the times I was alone running. There might have been one race where I was kind of near someone for a mile or so, but it was more focusing on me and just dropping those numbers and just I think the 200-meter track for me was a lot better because you get your time out sooner than you would on a 400-meter track, and just knowing the splits and going, okay, just try and hold it, and seeing you hold it for longer gave me a lot of confidence and stuff like that, so I was able to keep on dropping.
That's huge, because you really did have a really good winter.
Yeah.
I want to tell you that your indoor track year was really good, and that's what really showed me a lot of what you were able to do. And then, of course, you know, we knew what you did during the cross-country season and the great year that you had with your team, and then, of course, going into your cross-country year, your track and field year for the spring. So you ladies really have put a whole commitment in for the whole year. I mean, this is a year commitment of what you guys do. Are you going to miss this?
Yes, but I still will be. I'm doing it in college. I'm going to Westfield State, so I'll be running cross country for them and indoor track and outdoor track. So I get to start in a new team for another 4 years.
All right. So you will be doing that at Westfield State University. So that's where you're going to be, and you'll be able to be a part of the program starting in the fall. Now, what time do they get you guys there to start training for when do you have to be there to start working out with that group?
We move in the 28th of August and start training that day. He gave a summer program and he just expects you to do it. He's like, I'm not going to make you move in 2 weeks early because frankly, you're running, you can do this so you still get a chance to if you work to make more money and stuff before the school starts, because he knows you still need to pay for college.
Right.
He's like, if I have to, then we might have to start going earlier, but people have been really good about it in the past, so it's not until the 28th, but yeah, it's a whole training plan that I'm starting to follow now, so it's getting close and it's getting excited.
I know, and I'm excited for you. That's wonderful. And you'll do well there too. And the nice thing is you're really close to home to be able to come visit. Are you going to stay down there full time, and then be able to just come home and visit when you on weekends or and see your friends when you can and whatever?
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, that's going to be great. You still got a lot of time left in high school still. You're very young. Mm-hmm. You're very young, you're very talented.
Yeah,
and you got a really good future ahead of you. And you have any special plans of where you would like to go to college someday? Have you even thought about that? Is there some place that you're very interested in?
Yeah, I've been looking around, trying to narrow it down. I mean, figuring out places that sort of cross between good track and cross-country programs, and then also making sure that obviously the college has my major, what I want to specialize in. Yeah, I've been looking at Tufts University. They have a very good biology program and track program, so I'm hoping somewhere around, I don't know, I don't want to go too far, but yeah, I'm still open for other options.
So you'd still be in the state of Massachusetts as well. You know, you just be a little closer to the Boston area. But boy, I'll tell you, Tufts University is a great school.
Yeah.
It'll be wonderful for you. And you know, it's funny because people talk about, all these wonderful state schools and what they've been able to do. And Westfield State University is a fantastic program.
Yeah.
And I heard that if you're really into like criminal justice and stuff, that it's a very good school for that. And getting involved in that kind of, you know, law enforcement type is really good there. There's a lot of opportunities there. It's funny because I know the women's softball coach, Miss Bannister, is a wonderful lady, and she is their softball coach, and she was a alumni from Stoneleigh Burnham. She was also a guidance counselor over at Pioneer Valley Regional, and then she was coaching the Athol girls team for high school softball, and she got offered the job at Westfield State University, and she said that she loves it. So she really likes that college a lot.
Yeah, they have a really good team.
They do, and she's worked really hard with them too. And they are good. You're absolutely right. So, you know, so really it's nice to see how our local community still sort of engages even when they go to little different places to be able to, you know, broaden their horizons. And that's exactly what she's going to do there. And boy, if that would be wonderful when you'd be able to get that acceptance letter to be able to say, oh my gosh, I really am going to be going to Tufts, and I am close to home, and I can still be with my, you know, near my family. That's going to be a wonderful thing for you as well. But you got so many years ahead of you still of what you have to be able to do. And do you almost feel like you've achieved so many things so young? Do you almost feel like it's put pressure on you, knowing that you are expecting this now? Because I know you have to have expectations on yourself, but you need to not worry about what we think, because we already know what we think about you. I'm being honest with you, all right? You don't, you know, and I feel the same way about Amy as well. She achieved so much. 30 seconds off of her time, that is a huge accomplishment, okay? That came from hard work. You don't, like I said, if you sat here and counted to 30, it takes a long time to get there, okay? When you're doing it that way. That's a huge accomplishment. And in your case, you've been to nationals. This is twice now, right? Because you went out and did nationals somewhere else, didn't you?
During the indoor season,
You did the indoor season, that's right. You went to New York City. So you've been there twice already to the nationals in your young age. And you still have so much more to be able to do. But the problem is that I just don't want you to do this. And I'm gonna just give you this from a confidence from a guy who's been a coach for 24 years myself. You can't put so much pressure on yourself that you don't enjoy it anymore.
Right.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because I'll be mad at you if you do. I will. I'll be so mad at you because...
I don't think that'll ever happen.
Good,
I
honey,
don't think I'm ever going to stop running.
Because we don't want to put pressure on ourselves where we don't enjoy it anymore.
Right.
Because you guys both are excellent at what you do. And you've put the time in. And it's paid off for both of you. It really has. And it's because of the hard work that you've put in that you've achieved what you both have achieved so far. Right. And don't go away from that. You know, continue to just enjoy what you're doing. Take that time to zen, man, like you said, you know, and you know, have that time to just continue to just, you know, keep your self-therapy going. I think, you know, it's funny because I was a 600-pound guy 30 months ago. 600 pounds. And I've dropped over 200 pounds.
That's awesome.
And it's because I had to take care of myself. I was in trouble. And I decided that it's about self-therapy, you know? And it's a lot of work that you have to do within yourself, and you have to believe in yourself to be able to get to that goal, you know? And you two have been able to do that. You guys have hit a really special goal in your lives at a young age, both of you. And this will continue into your adult lives because of decisions that you're going to have to make and the self-control that you're going to have to be able to do that. And you two have a great future ahead of you. And I couldn't be more proud of what you both have been able to achieve. And I couldn't be more proud about how our local area has so many good athletes. Really, we have a lot of good athletes around here. You know, people say, you know, Franklin County, the smallest county in the whole state. Yeah, we are. But look how many great athletes we have here. And good people too. Look at Coach Joe. Would you imagine out of every high school that's in the state of Massachusetts that Joe Chadwick would be the #1 coach in wins of any sport in the whole state? Would you believe it though? Mohawk Trail Regional High School?
It's crazy to think about. I mean, if you look at the dedication that he puts into the team, I mean, I think you'd see it.
Yeah, because he really cares, you know? And who is your coach that you guys have for your cross-country team?
Stu Elliott.
Stu Elliott.
Yeah.
Oh, I know Stu. Yeah. Stu is the tennis coach, too. For boys, is that who it is? Stu Elliott?
No.
Oh, that's okay.
Stu, He teaches in the special education department. He drives around a, it's like I don't know how to describe it. You'd probably definitely know who he is. He's been around for a long time. He coaches all the pole vaulters, Sylvian and all them. So
he does. So he's one of Pop's coaches then.
Yeah, he's So you probably definitely have met him.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. What he's been able to do to help you guys to be able to get where you guys got has been pretty amazing. You know, I was thinking about some of the athletes that we have out there. Let's talk a little bit about a couple of your supporting girls that are in your group. Her last name is Day.
Jamie Day, yes.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about Jamie Day for a second. There's one of the girls that's really done well for your team as well. Let's talk about Jamie Day for one moment. Do you guys train together?
Yeah, we do run together a lot sometimes. Sometimes we're apart, but like a lot of the times we try and like run together. And our track, we were running together a lot on Country Club Road because it was one of the roads that like didn't have snow on it. It was always plowed.
Yeah.
And she's actually like over the years, like I remember her 8th grade and 9th grade year, like I think it was her mom forcing her to do cross country. She did not want to do it, but she slowly started to like it, and you could just see her improvement. Like she started running with like our 4th girl, and then all of a sudden by the end of the season she was with the 3rd girl, and then the next year she started with the 3rd girl and went to the 2nd girl. And so she's been just making her way up and improving, and she's like grown to like it, and she's liked it so much that she's continuing in college as well at Mount Holyoke. So she's like have been improving so much, and as much as she might say, "Nah, I don't try that hard," she tries really hard. Like,
well, she's a name that came right out to me right away.
Yeah.
So yeah. And is there a future runner that's young that's really coming through the ranks that you've heard about, or somebody that's going to do well for you guys?
I think Eva, who was our 5th runner this past year, is definitely going to be the top runner for Greenfield next year. She's run indoor track, outdoor track, cross country. She really likes it and loves it. She likes riding her bike around town. Like she's really active, and a couple of her friends are starting to do it who did really well in the 1,000 and like indoor track, and so they are looking to run from longer distance, and they ran the mile a couple of times during the season, so they're really like looking to like improve upon like themselves.
And think about this, if they start that young, it might take a couple years to take your lumps, right? But then after that, when you start winning, it gets exciting because your hard work is paid off.
Yeah.
Who are the two, let's go with a couple of girls that are still hanging around with you at your school that are going to be a part of your program coming up here in the beginning of the cross country season in the fall, which is, as we know, summer doesn't last long around here.
Right.
So let's talk about them.
Yeah, we've had this whole year, we've had very young girls, a lot of 8th graders, upcoming 9th graders, like Erica Shevchik. She's going to be a freshman, and she's so cute. She's a little mini me. She'll always do the same workouts that I'm doing. Like if when I get back from run, she'll do core and lifting, whatever we're doing afterwards. So I think she's got a big future ahead of her. She's
beautiful.
Exciting. Yeah.
And is there another person who is on the team that's returning like you, who has already been very successful already, who might be in a junior or senior year?
I'm actually the oldest. Our next, actually junior, Carly Cusimano, as well as Erica Lumen. She's going to be. They're both returning, so they should be holding the team together these next couple years.
Yeah. So really, you have a very young team.
Definitely.
Yeah,
yes.
And you do too, though. Really.
Ours is going to be all like 10th graders and 1 junior, I think.
Well, you know what? We could all sit there and say, "Oh, wow! Look at Greenfield High School girls softball, and look at the field hockey team. They were all juniors this year, mostly." Yeah. Well, yeah. Look how good they did. Okay. It doesn't matter. It's about how you train. It's about how you start young, how you be able to learn from the older veterans that are on the team. And do you both consider yourselves as leaders on your team? Do you consider yourselves as leaders?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Good, because I'll tell you right now, I think the girls look up to you. And if you guys are willing to give them that extra helping hand, I think it's only going to make it beneficial for everybody, you know?
Definitely.
Like you said, that little mini-me, I think that's pretty cool, you know? She wants to be like Meghan, you know? And for you to be able to say, hey, you know, here's what I do, here's how I do it, you know? If this is something you want to try, then here's the format.
Right.
You know, and now it's up to the hard work, and you know, you both have definitely put that in. The hard work that you've put in has been just absolutely amazing. You know, I also look at you know what's going on around our area when it comes to, you know, really being able to keep the sports thing going. And the one thing that I can recommend to anybody is to tell them how much fun it is. I think that if you go and you have fun, you'll want to come back. And you also need a good coach, though. I really believe that coaching is so important in high school athletics, because in high school, if you have a bad coaching experience with a coach, it usually turns you off, and then you're going to get a job because you can make $11 an hour minimum wage, okay? And a lot of kids are doing that now, and that's hurting us too, is the fact that there is such good money right now for minimum wage at $11 for a high school kid who lives with mom and lives with dad. You know, you go out and you work 20 hours a week, and hey, a couple $100 in your pocket as a kid, that's good money, right? So you're seeing a lot more kids go to work. You're not seeing them enjoy their high school years as much as they should. They're starting work young. And to me, I liked work, but I love sports, so that was where I was at. You know, I wanted to play sports, you know, because I knew I was going to work the rest of my life, so I wanted to enjoy it now while I could, you know. Now, do you guys have any special things that you guys have going on this summer? You guys just taking it easy and just getting yourselves prepared for college and you for your next year of high school? Do you guys just you guys take it easy during the summer, or do you both work, or what do you do, Megan?
Well, I don't have like a job. Summer's basically just running for me.
So you pretty much just run and hang out with your friends. So you're enjoying your time off is what you do, but you're still training though.
Right.
You know, we can call it time off, but it's really not. You're still training.
Right.
Because there is no such thing as not training, getting ready for the next season for Meghan Davis.
Well,
that's not.
stop.
No, that's not going to work. Exactly. Now, what about you, Amy? What's your game plan for the summer here?
Just running and working. I work at Harper's, like the ice cream stand, and now that I'm 18, I'm gonna start like helping out in the actual store because I can sell alcohol now.
That's right.
Yeah. So
for Mr. Bill Valvo.
Yep.
Yeah, we love Bill Valvo. Bill Valvo, you get a plug today. Yeah, he's a great guy over there, and we love Harper's. And of course, that's the family business too. That was you know, owned for many years by your family. You know, by your grandparents.
Yeah. So basically got in there when I was like 15 and just been working there since.
That's great. That's really great. And I've also seen you mowing the lawn at home too. I've seen you on that tractor, and that's a big yard you got there. So I have seen you doing that too when I've driven by, because I'm a big fan of the Batinsky farm stand right next to your house too. I have to go get my fresh veggies.
Oh yeah, we do too.
Oh yeah, same here, because they do a wonderful job as well. So, you know, I really look back at this whole year, and I look back at what was achieved, and you two ladies are two of the products of really great achievements that happened in girls sports this year. And you guys did it in a sport that really doesn't get a lot of recognition. And that's why you're here today, because I wanted to make sure people knew about Amy O'Sullivan from Greenfield High School and Meghan Davis from Mohawk Trail Regional High School, and what you guys have been able to achieve this year, and the leadership roles that you've been able to give to your teams, both on and off. And I just want to say that you guys have been a great role model, and even to me, to get my attention out of all the things that I have going on with what I do, I had to make sure that I got you two in here. And I'm so glad that your parents were nice enough for me to, you know, to get back to you ladies, for you to say yes, because I really appreciate it. I literally drove to Amy's house and talked to her dad. I'm like, Sean, listen, I want to get your daughter on my show here, you know? And I reached out to your mom on Facebook, because I've known your mom and your dad for a long time. And I said, I really would love to, you know, have Meghan be on the show too. And I said, what better than two girls who I know each other, and they both have a similar, they're both running 2 mile. I know one was a 1 mile at first, and then she decided that she wanted to start a 2 mile. And like I said, 30 seconds you make up on a time, and you breaking that 11-minute mark, which is huge. And now you're on the national stage. You're one of the top 21 high school runners in the country. That's pretty neat. And you ended up 7th this year, correct? Was your place? 8th place. So it was 8th place. Okay. And then the girl from Amherst was 1st, right?
That's awesome.
What's her deal? She very tall and lanky?
No, she's a little taller than me.
A little taller than you?
Yeah, she's just an incredibly hard worker. I know her. I actually was warming up with her like before the race, and yeah, we're good friends. And yeah,
that's what your mom said. Your mom said that you guys were friends, and how amazing is that? It just amazes me on how great it is. But you two ladies have a lot ahead of you. And Megan, I got to admit, I'm enjoying to be able to continue following you here over the next couple of years. We'll be able to enjoy talking about you here on this show. And I know that Amy's going to do well, and she's going to have some fun and a great experience at college. And of course, I always tell everybody, it's wonderful what we all do in our sports life, but it's who we are as human beings that matter the most, okay? It's what we get out of life and what we give back. And I just hope that you two can continue on your journey to wonderful things. You both deserve it. And continue that work ethic, because the work ethic that you both have will carry you into something very special later in life. It really will. And for you two to be able to be on the show really means a lot to me, and I really thank you both for taking the time to be here today.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, well, you're both very welcome. Well, there you go, folks. The Franklin County Varsity Sports Report comes to an end. Megan Davis, Mohawk Trail Regional High School, Amy O'Sullivan, Greenfield High School graduate, going to Westfield State University. We'll be talking with these ladies. We'll be following their journey. And I just want to say that on behalf of the staff here at the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, we wish nothing but the best of luck to both of them. That'll wrap things up for the show. I'm Bobby C. Want to thank our sponsors one more time. The 4-Leaf Clover Restaurant in Berniston. Also by Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield. Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. And by Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant. They're on Avenue A in Turners Falls. For my producer, Philippe Simone, I'm Bobby C. Please support your local athletes. And remember, this summer in our summer programming, we will be having some wonderful, and I mean this, wonderful interviews. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. Have a great week, everyone.
Now, where did I put that ball?